Evening, guys. Welcome back to the pod. Obviously, we're back in Moo Moo's, Kent's hottest nightclub. This evening, we have got a very special guest, Mr. Charon, and he is here to talk about, well, all sorts, everything to do from relationships, dating in the modern world, and specifically get into touch of what dating apps have done for, well, I suppose the modern dating world.
And his own app that he's created himself, LastLove, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
I know we've just done a kind of a soft intro for yourself, mate, but is there anything else we missed out that you want to tell the people back home who you are, what you do?
No, that's it. My name's Charon. I'm CEO and founder of LastLove. We are a dating agency app, and our mission is to take society away from decadence and debauchery towards more meaningful connections through dating and online dating. So that's what we do.
Nice, man.
cool.
What separates you from, let's say Tinder or Hinge or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. So you guys will, your parents, our parents were a similar age. Our parents will probably know that dating agencies used to be very popular. A dating agency is where you sign up and they'd come to your house and sit down with you, get a vibe, have a tea and a biscuit and find out what you're about. And then they go back to their office and match you with someone that they think they would suit you on their books, right?
That was a thing.
That actually still exists.
I knew that.
It actually still exists, but the smallest ticket for one in London, it can be anywhere between £5,000 to £20,000.
No way.
This is normally what the sort of higher echelons and important people, that's an option that they use. But this thing still exists.
Wow.
But this way of doing things actually remains the best in terms of quality and outcomes, obviously, because it's very meaningful, right?
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've taken that and we put it into an app-like model.
Okay.
And made that accessible to everyone as a reasonable price, right? But apart from the decadence and debauchery and the obvious stuff that you'll know, like superficiality and all that kind of stuff, the three main problems that we're solving are time. So the average user, probably not you guys, you're all good-looking chaps, but the average user on dating apps spends 90 minutes a day every single day swiping through profiles.
They're rookie numbers, aren't they, Merc?
Such a bad use of time.
They're rookie numbers for my mate Merc.
Well, no, just swipe a match.
So 90 minutes a day people are spending.
Every single day just to swipe and scroll through or whatever and do all this nonsense. And most of the time, it's not leading to any outcomes. If we look at the data from Tinder, I think globally, they have every day they have 1.3 billion swipes or something and only 26 matches. 26 million matches, sorry. So it's only like just under a 2% match rate. So what that demonstrates to us, and we already know this, like they're not of any quality. It's just a gambling game, you're fishing, right? But we can solve that. So the biggest problem is the time people are spending swiping. Our app is autonomous. You don't do anything. We do it all for you. So it's a sign up to Tinder. It takes about 60 seconds, right? You just sign in. But for LastLove, it'll take you about 11 to 15 minutes to go through the entire sign-up process. You answer a lot of deep and personal, meaningful questions. But then from that point onwards, you don't do anything for the lifetime that you're with us. We'll do everything for you. The most important thing outside of the time and being autonomous in our business model is we have built the most sophisticated matching mechanism ever attempted. The variables that we include go far beyond anything that's anyone has tried before. And what's the premise behind that? We can hack relationships. The variables needed to have a great relationships aren't some magical concepts. They are known to us. We know what it takes to have a good relationship, a long-term one. So all we do is use that science. Amir Levine, I think your previous guest spoke about him as well, attachment styles, right? Yeah. Helen Fisher, Jordan Peterson, John Gottman. We've had all this data for 20 years. So all we've done is we've drawn on this science and these statistics and created a mechanism that allows us to match people with a really high probability of success in relationships. So that's what we've built.
Right.
Wow, okay.
And the core ethos is, no matter what, like attraction is very important. We're not taking away from that. That still needs to be, you still need to find the person attractive and want to have relations with them, right? But there is a mechanics to having a long-term relationship. There's a chassis. And that chassis and the premise upon which our matching mechanism is built is that if your past, present, and view of the future aligns, your attitude towards politics, risk, money, conflict resolution, your attachment styles, if all of these things align, your chance of success in a relationship goes through the bloody roof. It's not some magical thing. We have all this data and we've already created it into a product.
So when someone signs onto your dating app,
it takes, would you say 15 minutes? 11 to 15
It can
minutes?
take up to 11 to 15 minutes. You answer about 60 to 70 multiple choice questions, upload images, videos, a voice recording, and then we do everything for you.
And that's what matches them to their partner, depending on how they've answered it. The closest match to that is what they're matched to.
Absolutely. Well, it's not always like for like. It's the mechanism very sophisticated, as you would expect, right? Some things aren't sort of binary in their connection. Like I'm trying to give you an example here. I'll just leave it there. I can't say too much about it, but not everything is binary. Not everything has to match. Sometimes things have to be opposite, right?
Sure.
In order to align and harmonize in a relationship. But yeah, that is the crux of what we do. And to give you an example of what that looks like in practice, I don't want to give too much away, but I will give a little bit. And I'm sorry that most of these are for the girls. Mm-hmm. There are loads of stuff for the guys, but this is the best example I can give you for you to easily conceptualize what we're trying to do, right? Girl goes on a date with a guy. Guys are bothered about this too, especially at our age. But girls are bothered. When does he want to get married? And when does he want to have kids? But if she asks you this on the first date, she's going to come across as a crazy person.
Yeah.
So what does she do? She dates you for about 3 to 6 months, and then you build a rapport, and then she eventually asks you, and then you don't align, and you both waited 6 months. But we've already controlled for this. What if we already introduced you to someone? You don't know that you guys have answered that way, but we do. No one sees the answers to your questions. We don't serve profiles.
Right.
You see a picture and you hear a voice recording, but you don't see the answers to the question. And the reason why we've done that is, firstly, you don't need to know, but we're asking really intimate questions that you wouldn't normally share. And the way we're building that trust with the user is saying, no one's going to see this. Even we don't see it. It's sort of coded, right? We don't see all the answers either. So in that working example, it just goes to show how we're going to introduce you to someone that's going to be really meaningful. Other things, and like there's really sophisticated things like attachment styles and conflict resolution styles, but something a bit more sort of arbitrary is we know the data shows statistically women prefer to date men who earn the same or more. We won't match a guy with a girl who he earns less than, because the statistics show that's not a good outcome for that relationship. And then the final example is girls like taller guys, right?
Yeah.
But
Why'd you look at me?
girls like to date guys who are taller. But what they do when they go onto dating apps is they're 4 feet tall and they're looking for guys 6 feet tall. All the while, everyone in between is excluded. We still control for that variable, but we're not going to have 3 foot girls dating 6 foot guys. One thing I can tell you is that every girl will be matched with someone who is taller than them. They will never be shorter than them. So we're accepting that this is part of the culture. And we're just going with it because this is what the culture and this is what society wants, right? Although it does show in stats as well.
What if I go onto your app then and just put all the right words just to get matched with all the best type of women then? What if I go in there, I know that now you said this, I can go in there and say I'm earning triple figures. All right, I won't lie about the height because then they might be able to see that once they meet me, but then I'm not the shortest of blokes.
Yeah.
Just write everything in there that I know that women want, and able to get what I want.
You'll be able to do that for some. It's very good cunning of you, well done.
Yeah.
But you may be able to do that. You won't be able to do that for everything.
Right.
I mean, the short answer is don't do that because if you want to, I should have mentioned the cost of the app.
Right, okay.
That was one of my questions. I was going to say,
So the cost is £10 per match, every match.
Oh, wow, okay.
So what we're trying to do is price out these charlatans.
Yeah.
That's trying to deter them.
That's still less than some girls have taken out, mate. That's all right.
So what? So just touching on that then. So let's say there's someone out there who's like, he's a real good catch,
Yeah.
and you just all of a sudden you just keep. If he all of a sudden he's matched with someone pretty decent, and then he's now chatting to this other lady. Are you going to just keep sending them matches and just charging them $10 a piece, or
No,
can they turn that off?
No, users only get one match at a time. So if you're now engaged with someone, you've agreed to match with them, you won't be served, neither of you will be served any other matches until you both come back to the app and
Very
say,
good. Okay.
we no longer are dating, we want to move on.
They review each other as well, no?
So this is for later versions.
Okay.
So later versions, we will be putting in a system which allows. I'm not saying we absolutely will act upon the feedback that you give, but if it's able to harmonize, we are creating systems that will allow that to somewhat readjust your matching mechanism. If you've said, I want to change a certain aspect of my algorithm.
I was going to say, it's like a TripAdvisor review. I'll be getting 1 star, mate. I'll be getting banned from the dating apps.
To bring it back to your point, I was about what if people answer sort of unscrupulously to trying to get outcomes. Like I said, you can do that on a few things, but you can't do that on all of them. But more than anything, like this is a place to really be meaningful people.
Yeah.
Like if there are people, and I've said this on the pods, like if you've come to like mess around on this app, it's the wrong place for you. Another thing is if people can write reviews of one another, people can report each other, and we will largely have a zero tolerance, because the way I see it now, and part of the reason why I built this, is I don't have any sisters. I don't know if you guys have sisters.
I do, yeah.
But
Yeah, Oz does.
Yeah, right, mate. Watch yourself. You ain't got sisters, but all of you got mothers, yeah. I love an older woman.
And perhaps it's not fair for me to say just girls. Obviously, as a guy, I'm saying girls. I'm sure if there's a girl, she'll say a guy. But where can our sisters, the women in our families, go to find a meaningful relationship, right? Like Hinge might be that place, but it's really not that place.
Not, no.
It'll interest you to know, actually, the same company that owns Tinder actually owns Hinge.
I've heard this.
I've heard this
Didn't
as
Paul
well.
tell us this?
Yeah.
Someone told us this.
I don't know, but I do remember this
Yeah.
popping up.
So it's a match group. The match group is like a conglomerate. They own hundreds of websites and dating apps across the globe. So when we talk about like centralized governments being a bad thing, centralized currency being a bad thing, we're actually living in a period of centralized dating. And how Tinder decide to act affects the culture of the entire Western civilization.
Really? You think so?
Absolutely. You don't think so?
Elaborate. We'll elaborate.
Yeah, elaborate. How would you work that one out?
And the way Tinder decides to behave, and you could say their simple existence is this, but I'll give you a working example in the sort of present day. They just released a new feature which allows you to hide yourself from your ex.
No way.
What that really means is hide yourself from your wife.
Oh wow, I'd rather know.
Oh shit!
You guys he wants to use the feature.
I haven't got a wife or a girlfriend.
But
might have to use your app, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, these are the type of things that I'm like as business leaders, and you guys will know this, like when you're producing a product or service, you've got to appeal to the better nature of man. Like we can all build stuff that will destroy society and put our energy behind that. But you've got to decide as business leaders to say, do you know what? I need to risk assess the thing I'm building. What are the implications? What are the impact? And what can we do to make sure we're building something from the ground up that is going to have a positive effect on society?
So are you trying to say that Tinder and Hinge have been created with malice intent?
I think they've been built to make money and nothing else. Like they don't really care about how they've impacted society. And that was okay then, right? But now 10 years later, we've got 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 are sexless. We've got Morgan Stanley saying that by 2030, over 50% of women in the West will be single and childless. We've got, record rates of suicide, anxiety, and depression against young people.
They reckon by 2045 or 2050, the average testosterone level will be 0 in men.
Absolutely. And
Average
The
zero.
average testosterone will be 0 in men.
I understand you guys are rightfully on a crusade of like empowering men and getting them to be better and all the rest of it. But me, and it's not just to the business I'm in, if I could wish anything for someone I didn't know, it'd be for them to find love.
Yeah.
You know? Because everything else is really important, but nothing else really matters. You know what I mean? Like it's good and great that you want to go and do big things in the world. But what's the point of having that if you don't have love? But if you have love and you don't have that, that's okay.
Are you married?
I'm not, no.
Are you looking for love? Or?
I've been in relationships with remarkable women, and I would have married any one of them. And unfortunately, we can talk about this actually, like the struggle of being in business and trying to do big things in business. It takes a huge toll on relationships.
Yeah.
And I'm not proud.
Sacrifices.
I'm not proud of it at all. And like I said, I would have married any one of them, and they didn't work out. And, amongst other things, but the seed of the reason why they didn't work out was always because of some, preoccupation of mine with business or taking too many big risks.
Yeah.
We've got to acknowledge femininity and feminine energy, and that needs security, emotional and financial. No matter how mad we get about hypergamy, and there's a natural level of hypergamy that has to exist. They have to behave that way, and they're wired to. If they didn't, the first women never did, we wouldn't be here. Civilization would end. And that's okay. So yeah, if I
True. I never
could,
looked at it like that. That's fucking really true, yeah.
if I could have got married young, I would have, and I am absolutely always looking to get married. Yeah.
But could you not say maybe that was a blessing in disguise because that wasn't the right woman for you, and they would have probably stuck about, like according to your circumstances?
This is a great question, and I've thought about this a lot myself, and no. And the reason why is because how can you expect a man or a woman? You guys speak about masculinity a lot, right? How can I expect a lady to act outside of her nature?
Yeah.
How bad is that I've said that to her? Although, there is more nuance to this, and this is an idea I'm introducing to a lot of the pods, and no one else is saying this online. Masculinity and femininity. It is optimal, it is desirable, it is necessary for every woman to be able to demonstrate masculinity.
Masculine traits or masculinity fully?
To be
Animate masculine traits. I believe every woman will animate masculine traits at some point throughout their life.
I'm not talking about traits, I'm saying embody it through her personality. Let me explain why. Oh, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it at all. He doesn't like it at all.
I'll let you
me
finish.
explain
I'll let
why.
you land. Let's go.
Like, the reason why, and I mean this with great respect, everyone talking about masculinity and femininity in the discourse has no clue what they're talking about. Because they've not been around a girl for long enough, over a long enough time horizon. Lesson 1, the reason why you get into a relationship is not for you. The first 6 months are for you. The rest of that relationship is so you can create something bigger. You create a family, you create kids, they create something else. That's what you're doing it for, right? I'm sensationalizing, obviously, right? I'm sensationalizing.
Sure.
So, because I'm trying to hit a spot with you guys. So, with that in mind, when you're going through your relationship, a relationship's gonna last you about 50 to 70 years. Over that arc of your relationship, you're gonna go through struggle. You don't know when it's gonna be, where it's gonna be. And in those moments, and it's not even moments, in those periods, week, 2 week, 6 month, maybe a year. This business has taken me 2 years of heartache. My partner's had to come on that journey with me. In the between that time, where there is no love, it is duty that endures. And to continue a relationship out of duty is a masculine trait. And that is what you need your missus to be able to draw upon when those hard times come. And if she cannot, if she is just in her feminine, that everyone is obsessed with girls being, and I am not, they must be masculine as well, the relationship will end because her natural instincts come to the fore. He cannot provide. I am not going to believe in the potential. I'm not going to take the risk. I'm leaving to go find someone else that I can make babies with. So women need to have masculinity in their back pocket to draw on when necessary, and that's the only thing that will make sure your relationship endures in the hard times. And men have to have femininity. Men need to be able to draw on that every 10 days of the month. Men need to draw on femininity. You know, we don't need to say why, right? When you see your daughter, when you play around, like, all of these things are going to become necessary. And if we take just a final point on the masculinity, if you stretch masculinity in females and why it's so important, let's stretch it to when you have kids. When you're disciplining your son, and then your missus leaves you because you're too harsh on your son, because she didn't have the masculinity to allow you to go what you need to do as a man.
Do you know,
that's also masculinity.
I don't know if that is masculinity, man. I don't know.
I was going to say, is that just not a woman being a strong woman?
That side of her is a masculinity. The mother's love is nothing else matters in the mother.
All right, before we go into that, then go into the detail of what you believe when you're talking about a man bringing out his feminine traits.
I didn't get that either.
Yeah, elaborate on. I know what he's getting at, but I'm just interested.
I don't.
Yeah, sure. So look, go into detail as to what you believe in, what those feminine traits are that a man has to put out.
Just being able to
You mean like things like empathy, sympathy? Is that?
Yeah, and being like emotionally intelligent, empathetic, and being slow and being soft and letting things go and accepting things happening rather than trying to fix and all this. And I'm sure you guys are old enough. You've met plenty of women. This happens every 10 to 14 days, right? It's part of the cycle. You have to be that way.
What do you mean? I don't get it. What do you mean? For men?
No.
No, for women.
Oh, right, okay.
Women go
So
through their
on-
monthly.
on
I
the
thought you
day-
said every 10 to 14 days for us. I was like, I don't get that.
No. We have to acknowledge
on the-
a woman's cycle, right?
Yeah. So on the days leading up to the menses, women obviously becoming,
Stressed.
very
Aggy,
stressed,
of course,
very challenged, very agitated, and we've got to allow that to happen. And we've got to create space for that and be more accommodating.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a bit more snappy or whatever, and just allow it to happen, right?
Yeah, of course.
In those moments, we don't have to be very authoritarian and be like, I expect this of you, I expect you to behave in this way. We need to be like, okay, we'll let it go. But also be a lot more caring, a lot more affectionate perhaps in those periods of time than you normally would be.
The key word for me that sticks out within everything you said is, I've lost it now. The key word is where is necessary. So if people knew how to kind of channel that where is only necessary, so at that time of the month, or when your husband is going through a struggle, that's when she needs to show her masculine side, then I understand that. However, I think nowadays, the way maybe society, the world is conditioning men and women, they don't know where to kind of be masculine or be feminine, and it's all over the place. So I've met women that are successful in their careers, and I speak to them and I can see sometimes they're trying to challenge me or kind of go up against me. And I'm thinking, well, you're a very masculine woman. I need more of a submissive woman. But at certain points, maybe, yeah, you would need her to be a bit masculine. But people don't know when to and how to channel that.
You make a great point, and I've had this conversation before on a pod. For me, and I'm just giving some unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
A man being able to exhibit like this. Everyone, we all have our personal struggle, like you said, and you said it perfectly. It's on all of us to manage that relationship with ourselves. It's on each of us to go, oof, I'm becoming too feminine. I need to check this, right? Because this isn't good for me, isn't good for my family, isn't good for my community. In the same way, women have to regulate, right? So everyone should be regulating continuously. But I feel like the conversation is skewed because no one's saying that we need to have both. Everyone's just saying men be masculine and women be feminine. That's wrong. A really feminine woman is a tyrant. She just looks nice and pretty and flowery. But when she leaves you because you've gone through hard times, that's not very nice at all.
Right.
But that is pure femininity. Pure masculinity is a tyrant. He just like, walking around the gym, arms out, fucking. You seen that meme where that guy bumps into that guy and gets boxed in his face? That's a tyrant. That's pure masculinity with no femininity at all, right? I'm sensationalizing to make a point. Sure. So that's the issue. But yeah, you're right. But I would challenge you and say, it is so hard to regulate.
Yeah.
It's even so hard to like sometimes introduce that into yourself. So for me, when I see a woman, a lady that exhibits that, I'm like, ooh, that's something that is malleable, that's moldable. Yeah. Like she's got it in the wrong way maybe for me or for you, but she's got it. But trying to get with a girl that is this, no disrespect, princess, Barbie, whatever, going from there and trying to instilling in herself, or even me as a partner trying to instill that, that's very hard. It's difficult. And that's, I would say that's lot worse outcomes over the long term in a relationship. Now, the final point is, and we say that the fresh and fit, right? Like respect to them, what they're doing. I've got good things and bad things to say about them. But this conversation is not had over a bar, in the bar, whatever. Everything can be negotiated over a long enough time horizon. If you like this girl, yes, she's challenging you. You don't know what she's thinking. You don't know if she's ready to surrender to you in the bedroom, right? You don't know that.
Right.
And you've just completely written her off because she's gone, oh, masculine, too much, bygone.
Yeah.
But she holds the golden nugget. If she can control that, or maybe she can control it, she's just teasing you or whatever, right? But if you get to know her long enough, that's why I'm trying to encourage people. When you're seeing these masculine women, you gotta give them a chance, man. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, no.
There's compromise, I think, though, right? For the right person, you might be a certain way, but I'd personally like to think, if there are any wrong traits about me, which I don't think there is, but if there is, then, what do you mean? If there is, then I'd be willing to compromise depending on what it is. So for the right person, I think if you're emotionally invested, you will do.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you. I stick to what I said previously. I think women should animate masculine traits when necessary, but I don't want to ever be with a woman that's got any kind of masculinity about her. And I don't think men should be feminine at all unless they want to maybe animate the feminine trait of maybe... I wouldn't even say empathy is a feminine trait. I just think that's a trait of being a human being, being empathetic and having sympathy for another human. I don't think that's a feminine trait. I can't think of a circumstance where men really should animate female traits.
It's when your partner's having a conversation with you purely from emotion, not necessarily from any reason or logic.
Yeah.
I mean, in those moments, for example, I guess. And in those moments, it doesn't matter about logic. It matters how that person in front of you feels about the things.
I agree with the emotion thing, right? But because obviously you've got to take someone's emotions into consideration. But if they're spurting out nonsense based on their emotions with no logic behind it, why do I need to choose to accept that?
Well, obviously, this is a very nuanced conversation. We're all thinking of different examples in our mind. But ultimately, like, I'm trying to give you a working example from my own relationship, but like, there will be scenarios where how my partner feels about something is not necessarily logical, but it has affected her in an emotional way. It almost doesn't matter anymore, the semantics of who's right, who's not right, why they're right or why they're not right. It matters how whatever this situation has happened has had an impact on her and what we do about it moving forward. And that's what I mean. I'm easily like you, but like, hold on a minute. Like, let's reverse engineer this. Why have you even got a problem? But it doesn't matter anymore. The problem has occurred. Whether I like it or not, she has a problem within her mind and within her body now. Now, let's... and the masculine approach is, hold on, if I can logically denounce this, problem's over, because it never should have happened. They don't necessarily operate like that,
That's
right?
very true, yeah.
Because the emotion has already taken hold.
I agree with what you're saying on the relationship front
Yeah.
to a point.
Yeah.
But majority of it I do agree with. But I think pushing feminine traits onto males makes men have uncontrollable emotions, which is very dangerous male.
Think about the old... I get what you're saying. I agree with you, though. But think about the old saying when people go... You've had birds say to you in the past, oh, so you're in touch with your feminine side. I don't think that necessarily means having to emulate feminine traits, but where they probably visualize masculinity being so dismissive of anything of that sort, where, like I say, females are, majority of the time, emotionally invested in something, and they look at everything from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
Like you're breaking down then, men look at things from a logical standpoint, going, if that XYZ, you shouldn't be feeling that way.
Yep.
Regardless, it has, yeah. But I think what you're trying to get at is the old saying of you're in touch with your feminine side by being able to listen and go, okay, cool, I understand, or I don't understand why you're feeling like that, because you shouldn't be. But then being able to go, do you know what? I can see that it has. And then being able to sort of understand the emotional side of it and go, cool, I understand why it's made you feel
Yeah,
that way.
I agree. I agree with the relationship side, but I think a man who can't control his emotions because he's in touch with his feminine side is a very dangerous man.
Sure, but we're assuming that by getting in touch with your feminine, somehow you're losing control of your masculinity, right? You're becoming more emotional.
Yeah.
I'm saying become more emotionally attuned, if anything.
Yeah,
be able
that's
to
what I
pick
mean.
up on the emotions
Okay.
rather than necessarily exhibit them, I guess.
Understand it.
I think it's a good example because the terminology in this day and age, especially for the younger generation, like masculinity and femininity is very one-sided.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground. You're either really masculine or really feminine.
Yeah.
Especially for the younger generation now, there's no real quite education around them two words.
Yeah.
So it's good to kind of underpick it, like you
Yeah,
just
you
said.
have to have both, man. You have to be able to call on both. And whatever that means to you, however that manifests, right? You have to be able to call on both.
To be fair, I will circle back, and it might sound like I'm contradicting myself, but like I did say in the very beginning, that I feel like men... I said women should, well, not should, but can animate masculine traits, but men shouldn't. But then I've just thought about it again. I don't know how this is perceived, because I think we had Mike Delaney on here once, and he kind of broke it down a bit more in depth. But we could probably say us boys have animate feminine traits when it comes to grooming.
Yeah.
But then Mike done it on a 360 and said, well, look at the Romans. They were the first people to groom themselves. They create the toilets, they comb their hair, and
Just put oil on their skin.
oil on their skin. So what? And Romans are the toughest bastards in history. If you put them up against the gladiators and stuff. So what defines is looking after yourself feminine? Is it? I don't know.
Well, I think it's the status quo that defines it, right? So it's possible you may be if you took if it was on a scale, then perhaps you guys would be. Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind being compared to a gladiator. So that's fine.
I'm intrigued to see how you kind of probe this on your app as well, though, because obviously, I'm guessing to some sort of respect, there's these types of questions that are involved within that kind of probing stage of someone applying to the app.
Yeah, we are trying to control for as many things as we can. There's certain things that we can't. It's constantly evolving, right? The algorithm is constantly evolving. It'll constantly keep being changed as well. So with this specifically, it's hard to control for this. But there's so many other variables that are interrelated, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be direct a question in that way.
Is there an element of AI involved in the app?
AI in the sense that, the algorithm decides, we tell the algorithm how to decide, and then it will make its own decisions, yeah.
How reliable is the algorithm?
What do you mean reliable?
How have you tested it?
In terms of good outcomes?
Yeah.
Well, we've just launched, so we have done some testing offline with a cohort of users, and it's been very successful. Yeah.
I'd like you to test it on me.
You want us to test it on you?
Because I think I'm unmatchable.
Why do you think you're a man?
No, I'm joking. I think it's because where my headspace is at, and same with the boys can probably
Yeah.
vouch. We've spoke about it on hundreds of pods. Well, we have not done hundreds of pods, but many pods, where we just don't think any of us are in the right mindset to have a relationship right now while we're building this. So I just feel like we probably switched that part of our brain off to not allow anyone in.
Well, interesting. I can't remember which one of you it was, but I watched one of the previous pods, and you guys mentioned before, you'd like the idea of
said
Yeah.
that,
having a girl that has her own thing going on.
Yes, guys, what's going on? Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Guys, I've just had a look.
and you guys still ain't subscribing. We need you guys to subscribe to make this channel bigger. Now, please hit that subscribe button and let's get back to the pod.
We can control for that.
yeah.
We can control for that. Like, how would you feel about a girl that had her own side hustle, right?
Yeah,
Perhaps even had her own
she's got to be busy. She's got to be doing her own thing.
we control for that. So that would actually be one of the variables. If you were a business owner, then it would be appropriate for us to match you with someone who wasn't a business owner.
How specific can we get with this? Like, if I don't want to go to Marbella with my friends, can you put that in there?
Bank holidays.
Unfortunately not.
No, right, well.
What's your guys' views on like marriage and stuff?
I don't know.
Do you know what's my most recent view on it?
Go on.
I like the idea of finding something more meaningful and having a partner, a lifelong term partner, but I don't like the idea of going and signing a piece of paper and letting the government be involved in my affairs and have control over my finances.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. The tough thing is, really, I think legally now, if you cohabit more than 3 years, then you're essentially in a
Marriage
it's
anyway.
as if you
Yeah,
signed
that's
it.
right,
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah, but who proves that?
The government.
What, exactly, do you know what I'm saying? I can
Yeah,
say,
sure.
do you know what I'm saying? I could be with 3 girls at 3 times for 3 years. But which one am I now married to?
Maybe if it's like some sort of like residential council tax bill or something.
Yeah, I
like
think it's
that.
done on bills and stuff.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
advised me against.
So what if
taking it
I'm
before.
paying for everything myself?
Yeah, then you're sweet. They can't
Yeah.
trace it. But
Yeah.
as soon as you start splitting things,
Yeah.
someone gave me this lesson before. As soon as you start splitting things, and then the government
Yeah.
can see that you're sharing
Yeah,
certain
that makes
things.
sense.
My
That happened to sorry, not to
No,
come
go on.
over you, but that happened to someone I know. His missus was contributing to the bills. They broke up, and
You can even show
he
them
had to
bank
pay like 20
transfers,
grand.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
when went
You got to be
their
careful,
separate
man.
ways.
You got to be careful, yeah, you're right.
Pay for everything yourself.
My concern is a lot of the podcasts and stuff when they talk about marriage, everything relates to relationships. I'm talking about like really bad stats and stuff, but I'm coming with a message of hope. Like, we've really created something remarkable here that can really fix this entire situation. But there's a lot of dog whistling and there's a lot of like bad energy put out about relationships and marriage especially. Now, I don't know whether you've heard a lot of this statistics being bandied about that, 40% of marriages end in divorce, right? So it's,
Wow.
sorry?
I thought it was higher.
On average, it's actually about 38 to 40%,
UK,
right? Of marriages end in divorce. But if you look deeper into the statistics, it changes the story entirely. So if we say that 40% of marriages end in divorce, actually 50% of the people who divorce regret the divorce.
No, really.
And of the 50% that regret the divorce, 21 try again, and those 21 go on to be successful.
Okay.
Interesting.
But this dating stat, this marriage divorce stat of 37 to 40%. So if you control for what I've just said, it's really in real terms, it's about 35% divorce rate, right? So you have a 65% chance on average. But if I was to say, if you to control just for first time marriages, because I think that's a better statistic than the average. Let's accept that nothing can be 100%. Let's say that you'll allow a 10% divorce rate, right? So a 90% success rate. First time marriages, divorces are only 22% of the time, actually. And nobody talks about this because it's not a sexy statistic to say, oh, it's
Yeah.
only 22% of the time. So anyone listening, or if you guys have heard this before, they're good numbers.
Yeah.
To accept that nothing can be 100% and your divorce rate is 22% for your first marriage, that's a really good number to say, hey, I should give it a go, you know? But not enough. This hasn't been talked about enough. People like to do the highest number possible to make the
It almost feels like that, whoever they are is just consistently trying to push for people not to be bonded, for people not
Absolutely.
to create families, for people not to have those type of relationships. Do you know what I mean?
I could say something, but I'm not.
You're going to say it makes society weaker if we're
Yeah, of course it
separate?
does.
Yeah, but I think there's loads of things at play. But then after discussion,
agenda.
there's a
Yeah,
hidden
I
agenda
agree.
at play, and people will call me a tin-foil conspiracy theorist. But I'm not going into the
there
depths
is-
of it.
there is
There's a reason.
definitely-
Do you know what I was speaking to? I'm not going to say his name, but I can say his name. I was speaking to the other day on a walk, and he said, "Yo, you need to be careful what you boys keep talking about. Like, you got to think of the bigger picture." And I know it sounds like a sad reality, but look what happens to people when you fucking start speaking
you're
out.
right. Yeah.
And that's sad because we should probably want to, but when we're not in a position to be able to do it, and like when we're just starting out, we might be shooting ourselves in the foot before we even get started. So
Yeah.
we got
Alright.
we got to pick our fights. Basically, what I'm
Sharon,
saying.
a question on.
I had an interesting question. To
Go on
ask
then.
him.
Go on. I'll remember this.
My interesting question is, okay, so this app, I'm not going to say when it becomes successful, let's
you,
just say you're earning a good lump amount of money and you find the one, would you get her to sign a prenup?
That's a good question. No.
No.
No,
It's clever,
Would
isn't
you
it?
not?
no, I wouldn't know.
I would. But like, you ain't getting nothing.
Okay. I've got another question.
Luckily,
for you.
my partner, she's
You said you didn't have a partner.
No, he didn't.
my girlfriend. My
He's
girlfriend.
not married.
Oh.
I said marriage, yeah.
She makes good money. She comes from good money as well.
Okay. So like,
That's another hack, you know. If you're worried about girls
Yeah.
stealing your money, get a girl from money, and you won't have that problem.
you can get a piece
That's
of that as
true.
well.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Oh yeah, I could get a piece of that.
Okay, question for you. Is money important to you, first of all? That's my first question.
It's the same answer everyone gives. It's the freedom it provides, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
more than the freedom, it's the good that you can do with it, right? I'm not from a particularly well-off family, so you know I've got a very unusual relationship with money, in the sense that I like it, but if I didn't have it, like whatever, right? It doesn't control me.
Right, okay, so this leads on to my next question. The conglomerate you was talking about earlier.
Yes.
You grow this and it becomes very successful.
Yeah.
What if they try and buy you out?
Oh, they almost definitely will, yeah. But I
Are
probably
you going to accept it?
No. They're
100 million check written.
oh gosh,
There you go.
yeah. No, I wouldn't
Everything's
know.
got a price.
Yeah, no.
You
So I
say no?
wouldn't. There's enough other big players in the game for it not to sell to Match. Match Group is the name of the company which owns Tinder and Hinge and the rest of them. I'd sell it to a different group. I'd rather not sell it to that group. No.
So you would have morals the whole way through.
Absolutely, yeah. We're trying to cause real big change here. There's no point sort of doing all the good and then the last minute selling it to the fox, right?
Because when we're doing this pod and we've got 1 million subs in like 5 years and I find that you sold it to a conglomerate, I'm coming for you, right now, right?
You're going to out you on the phone.
You better not sell out.
We're definitely not.
Speaking of which, on the dating apps, what do you feel as though dating apps like have done for today's society in dating, and like why do you feel that they're such a good thing, or why do you feel as though we now lean on them so heavy as a society?
Yeah, I think about 50% of guys have never asked a girl out in person.
When what age gap?
Or across all ages, across
Wow,
all
fucking
averages.
hell.
Yeah,
I can believe that.
What, 50%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bruv, I was having this... Like, right,
That's
sorry.
high though, isn't
Hold
it?
your
That's
thought.
Yeah.
50% of the male population.
People are beans, man.
Yeah.
Just laughing because you swore again. Sorry, my mind's just gone south.
Don't even realise it, does he?
Got potty mouth over it.
Potty mouth.
No swearing, lads. First one. Fucking hell.
Hold your thought, what you going to say. So I was having a conversation with a girl the other day. I think we've said this on the pod before. In regards to...
Hang on, you didn't answer that question.
Yeah, you did. And I'm if you was listening, you know what I'm about to say.
I got it, my man.
Clearly don't care about the pod. Clearly don't care about the pod, do you?
We're gonna have to clear that up on the pod next time. Tell people what that's about. Yeah, go on.
Right. So what my point was is you couldn't believe that statistic about 50% of men
Oh,
have
sorry,
never asked
yeah,
a
yeah,
girl
yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why you can't comprehend that, and it's the exact same reason when I was talking to a girl a few months ago, can't comprehend these stats, is because you're within a circle of guys that are within, I don't know, let's just call them the 1%. I don't know what the percentage is, but the guys that have access to women, the guys that are in the popular circles, the guys that go out and get female attention. So you're only used to these environments. But 99% of these other blokes that these statistics come from they're getting any girl attention. They're not even having second looks at, girls don't even look at them, nothing. So like, you're only used to your environment, but the majority of all males in the world don't get any female attention at all. So then that daunting thought of going to go up to speak to that girl over there and they're scared of rejection, they just don't want to do it.
It's not gonna
You say
happen.
that though, like you think sometimes I get 100% get what you're saying, 100%. But then, what about when you see these people out and it's not people, but you just think, look at the fucking state of some people. You go, he's got a bird.
Wait, what?
Do you know what I mean? When you see the state of some people, yeah, you think, how's he got a bird? And we ain't.
Well, he falls in with the other 50%.
If you throw enough shit,
last.
so the wall, one of them's going to stick, I suppose.
That's so true.
Yeah, I suppose
Like,
that's it. Yeah.
I've seen some very average-looking guys.
Second person to swear on the pod.
Well, okay, second most aggressive, thank you. I'll take it. But there are some guys that just have the chat, and I think that will take you a long way.
Oh, it does, yeah. It takes you a long way to a point, though.
To a point. The way I see it is, you can be. I'm just going to throw numbers out for the sake of it, but 3 or 4 out of 10, a 3 or 4 out of 10 looking woman, and you will still get attention from a man. But then a 4 out of 10 guy will not get attention from a woman that's like even in the same category as them, because they're used to guys hitting on them. So a lot of guys do get ignored, and not just in person, online as well. There's so many guys that shoot their shots that just get completely ignored.
But I think this boils down to everything we try and push is because guys 8 times out of 10, let's say, don't want to look after themselves. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to go to the gym and train. That's not just for them looking good in the mirror. We've always said it does far more for your mental stability than it will ever for your physical attributes. Yeah, they don't want to then okay, that's not necessarily harp on the fact that people need to make millions of pounds, but people aren't normally financially secure. They spunk all the money up the wall on rubbish. They don't look after themselves. It's not hard to dress nicely today, and without you don't have to spend hundreds of pounds on outfits just to look half decent. Do you know what I mean? You can go into M&S and buy t-shirts, autographed t-shirts for 25 quid and a pair of chinos and slap a pair of trainers on, and that's it. You look fresh.
M&S.
Do you know what I mean?
M&S,
M&S,
hard, bro.
M&S club art is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Shout out M&S, we want that sponsorship.
This
is M&S.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, M&S is hard.
M&S t-shirt, M&S clothing, boys. If you're looking for t-shirts, knitwear, jumpers, hot quarter zips, chinos, go to M&S and you'll find the best club art.
Autograph. You want the autograph
t-shirt.
section. That's the
Autograph
collection.
t-shirts, 25 quid a pop. I'll guarantee you wear it. Most people will ask you where you got your
Best
t-shirt
get a
from.
sponsor after this.
I hear what you're
Shout out
saying,
M&S.
Mason, and I'm just saying this to provide balance, right? I largely agree with everything you've said, but I do ponder this a lot, right? This idea of everyone being their best selves, but I feel like, and I have this thought normally in a political sense, but I do mean in a social sense as well. People shouldn't have to be extraordinary to find love. You shouldn't have to be extraordinary to find, to earn a good living, right? But the society, ecosystem, politics, whatever, has made us all into these bloody rats, you know what I mean? That have to be, you shouldn't have to be top 10%, top 50%.
I agree with him in his logic.
Yeah.
He's right. We shouldn't have to, but we can't.
The sign of the times.
Hang on.
We're a product of the environment, and we have to move with the times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to disagree with all of you there.
I know what you're going to say.
Right, I'm going to take it back to what Paul said. Very recently. Let's rewind 2.5 million years ago, roughly when we think Homo sapiens started coming about. Yeah, there has always been a natural hierarchy of male, whether that be in a physical form of fighting, of thinking, of leadership, whatever that case may be. Like, those people have risen to not necessarily positions of power, but they've risen to become the best versions of themselves. That doesn't, the smartest guy in the room doesn't need to have a six-pack and be buff, but he's attractive in other ways because he's a fucking good thinker and he can use his brain well, right? So I don't think that's come from a society that we have today of people having to be what they see on Instagram. That's part of the problem, that people think they need to have a six-pack and they think they need to go on all these fucking holidays. Most of these people are brokies anyway, right? But I think just becoming the very best version of yourself doesn't mean that you have to have millions in the bank and you need to be buff and 6 foot and all this sort of shit. I just think it means that you need to get up every fucking day, go to work, work on yourself, become a good role model for your kids, be a good partner, to be a good family member, look after your friends and family. That's just being a good human being in general and being the best version of yourself and feeling good about yourself. Most of these people, they fucking sleep in till 12 o'clock during the day. They don't give a fuck about what job they've got. They don't care about rambling, racking up debts in their name. They're just not doing anything for themselves or society. I don't think that you have to have everything in the world in order to be A stars.
I agree with I agree with both of you, but I think for me personally, I'd want to be the best version of myself to find the best possible version of the girl that I want to be with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what his point was, I agree with what you both saying, but his point was you shouldn't have to become an extraordinary. He didn't say look after yourself or be strong. He said you shouldn't have to be an extraordinary human, which the pressure is now on to be extraordinary because of Instagram and the levels that you've got to compete with nice cars, all the statistics we go through.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. You shouldn't have to have all this shit to be able to even just get a partner.
And this is
let alone an extraordinary partner.
Yeah,
However, that doesn't stop. That doesn't stop me from wanting to achieve them things. I do want to be rich. I do want to have a nice car. I do want to have the fattest pad. I do want to have the hottest bird. I want all of these things, and that's what I always strive towards having. But what his point was is you shouldn't have to be extraordinary just to get a relationship.
Yeah.
But that's what society's pushed on the Western world.
And it's just a society, that is the way that dating apps have already been set up. You mentioned before about let's just use numbers. There's no opportunity cost if you're a guy or a girl, let's be honest, because the guys are doing it as well. It's not just the sort of sub 5 guys who are scrolling on the 7s and the 8s, right, and ignoring the 5s, right? That is happening too. But everyone's doing it to each other. The top 10% or 20% of men and women on dating apps garner the attention of the next 40 to 50% of the opposite sex, and the bottom 40 to 50% get nothing. Yeah. And the bottom of 40 to 50%, there's a game theory to it. They should be loving each other, right? But they hate each other on up because, who cares? Even though he's sort of my level or she's my level, I'm going to bank on someone hotter. Because it becomes a casino type system. So what we've done is, because we don't serve profiles, you're almost ignorant to what's even out there. Obviously, you'll always be able to skip onto Tinder and carry on with that nonsense. But we're hoping we cause such a stir that we sort of cancel out all of those apps and we can almost like reset the entire system. So you can't see all the necessarily good or bad looking people. You see those people that you're most suited to.
It's like Love is Blind.
A little bit, but you do see the person. But yeah, absolutely. But you just don't. It's like I think Paul said it before about how we used to live in small communities. You shouldn't be seeing this many people. You shouldn't have this many.
Yeah.
It's so exposed to
and
it.
I'll speak, the guys who don't have any options at all, it's bad. I feel sorry for you. It doesn't feel good. But from a female psychology, from a male psychology, not having options is bad. But that is the equal and opposite. It's the equal and opposite for a girl having loads of options, because women need to be discerning. Like, women have always had options. Their issue always throughout time has been, is he a tyrant? Is he a good guy? Is he a good mixture of both, right? And having loads of people in your thing creates that chaos that you can't organise. So it's just as bad either way. And we've, obviously, by doing the way we've done this, we've fixed the entire situation.
How long do you reckon this has rolled out where you got millions of users?
Millions within a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what would you say is the average age currently of your app?
We're seeing, like, obviously the app is for anyone and everyone, single mother, single father, whatever, old, young, it doesn't matter. But what we're seeing is like 27 to 40 years old. We find that around that time that people are getting serious about relationships. Not to say that there are, young girls and young boys, girls next door who haven't had. There's something called a femcel. Do you know what a femcel is?
No.
So when we think about incels, we think it's like some bad thing, like these like horny, sexless guys.
Yeah.
But like some of them are just like young guys who are virgins, right? Who've never had a relationship. They would also be classed as an incel. But femcel is a girl next door who doesn't want to participate in the debauchery, doesn't want to do one night stands, and has just said like, where do I go? There's nowhere for me to go. So I'm just going to go on solo dates and just like not engage in dating. And because I'm not dating, I can't find anyone because nobody approaches me in the bar. So they're just like single and haven't been in relationships for years. And they're not some like weird gimpy girls. They just would rather not participate in the industry. So that's what a femcel is.
Yeah, fair.
And we're fixing that problem. When I see like the whole rise of solo dating, especially like, by girls, it makes me feel sad. Like, these are nice girls who deserve love, but they don't have anywhere to find it.
Do you think people these days, the older generations, obviously, like probably post 30 now, do you feel as though people really know what love is? Like real, true, deep love.
Yeah, I get this a lot because they're like, okay, Sharon, you put two people together, but they still don't know how to execute a relationship, right? And like, that's a fair point, right? Like, there are companies starting, like, you can get relationship apps now, like when you're in a relationship.
No.
God, fuck it now.
Yeah.
Everything's online, right?
It'll help you like force you into having deep conversations and remind you of things and stuff like that. So efforts are being made, best efforts. But you're right, like, as a society, we do need to learn more. Like Paul, all the information Paul gave you last time you guys spoke, like, that's all really good information that everyone should have. People should be reading the books that we've used to inform our algorithm so they can be more clued up. But ultimately, we're the start of the cycle, right? We need to stop the problem at the source, which is how people are meeting each other. Then, hopefully, we can be in the privileged position to say, okay, Sharon, you fixed that. Now someone else needs to fix, making sure people understand how to execute properly.
Where do you think it's gone all wrong, though? Like, where, like,
Tinder.
100%.
What,
over culture? What, overnight?
100%.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say I think Instagram's more of a culprit.
Instagram has ruined everything.
Yeah,
I think Instagram ruined everything.
100% ruined
It's
everything.
created more self-esteem issues, I think. So
Yeah, I think Instagram's always
body
now you're
image,
trying to keep up the Joneses all the time.
yeah.
Look at this guy, look at this girl, look at that relationship, look at that car, look at that watch.
Yeah, I agree. But then obviously, I guess they're almost like cousins, right? But like, Tinder is the player in the system. Like, no matter what carnage Instagram caused, Tinder could have corrected it. And I think we give ourselves, with the greatest respect as a society, too much credit. Like, we don't think we're led. And I don't mean like in a like, oh, we're brainwashed sense. We're reliant on technology, right? If Amazon's a bad player, I like Amazon, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to rebuild Amazon and you be a good guy, fine, but you ain't gonna be able to do that, you know what I mean? So almost like Tinder created this thing, and it's like where else do we go, right? That's there.
You boys just contradicted yourself a little bit, though, because, like, I get what you're saying in terms of Instagram changing the game, but like we say, if you follow the right people and the right pages, It can be extremely beneficial.
I agree.
I agree, but it doesn't impact that. Instagram doesn't impact my life. I'm talking about the masses.
Fair
It
enough.
doesn't. My life's never been impacted by Instagram. I've always said this since day one, even before when we done that pod and the pearly things. I've never had a negative experience on social media, really, ever.
It's not you though, is it?
No.
But like, say, like if you've got a girl, say you're seeing someone and that girl's exposed to a guy with a Lamborghini, a guy with a nicer watch to you, a guy with a nicer, like,
Oh, wow, yeah.
do you know what I mean? Then she's exposed to it. So it doesn't matter if you don't bother you, it might bother her, and then she's leaving you for the geezer with a Lambo. You get what I'm saying?
Cold world.
Very well.
Do you guys know girls that aren't like that?
Yeah, there's a
of
few,
course.
but you got to...
Yeah, but they're never hot.
That's not true.
No, I'll tell you what, there's one girl that I was speaking to this time last year. I think Mason...
Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
She was everything you described earlier. Doesn't go out, doesn't sleep around,
Homebody.
homebody, cooks, cleans, everything. But turns out she was a bit off, a bit strange, right? And it didn't really fall in line with my life. Really supportive, really nice girl. I ain't got a really bad word to say about it, really. But that was a very rare person I ever come
I'm
across.
stating the obvious here, and I'm obviously just picking the bone of what you said.
And she was hot.
She was hot.
She was hot.
Oh, okay. But let's say, I don't think this is true, but first thing I want to say to the viewers, there are plenty of girls like this.
Yeah.
There
there
are
are,
plenty.
yeah.
Find me one,
There are
please.
so many.
He'll ruin her life. Don't do it.
I know, that's the point. Like, what you've got to understand is, like, Yusuf, like, what you were saying before is that her being hot, I mean, it's so obvious to say. I can't believe I'm saying it
Just
out
so you
loud.
know, I called it off first. She didn't end it. just so you know, I didn't get left on red or anything like that.
This is obvious, but, like, it doesn't matter.
What
It
doesn't matter?
How hot she is.
It does.
It doesn't.
It does.
Over
It
a long
does.
enough time horizon, it
Ah,
doesn't
it
matter.
does.
It does.
It does.
Well, it doesn't matter at all.
In what sense? Like,
I want to rip her clothes off, mate. I don't want to look at some like a proper nice fit bird. Do you know what I mean?
I think what he's trying to say is, and I agree.
Over 50 years, it doesn't. In a 50-year relationship, it stops mattering. I'm not talking about her looks. It stops mattering after 3 years.
Never.
No way.
No, hold on, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Okay,
Go on,
you
go
can.
on.
No, you can, but I can't actually say
Let him
why.
finish. Wait, let him finish.
I can't say why.
yeah, go on,
Anyway,
let him land,
Let him
go on.
All that. Listen, what's the longest relationship you guys have been in?
4 years.
2 years.
Wow,
2, 3
really?
years.
Yeah, you didn't expect that, did you?
No, I did not.
Yeah, now come at me, boy.
What's the longest?
1 year for me.
Doesn't count. Really.
About 2.5 years.
mate.
Okay, that's all right.
I think maybe about a year and a half.
Okay, maybe. There's rookie
So,
numbers, though. Rookie.
yeah, I'm 4 years in the game, boy.
Okay, that's good. That's
And
good.
trust me, attraction matters, mate.
I mean,
It does.
if you're doing it properly, and like, fine, maybe I'm not being extreme enough, but guys, over a long enough time horizon, I'm telling you, like, eventually it's going to get to the point where no matter how hot she is, you're looking at it and thinking, like, God, if you were just nicer to my friends, hosted my parents better. Or a
They
bit-
are very important things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are the things that matter, boys.
those are the most
and
fundamental
when you're
things.
leading with, is she hot? And she like doesn't know how to chat to your mother or like your
Yeah, but
nieces
I
and
would've- I would've ditched her by then.
You know, just to touch on that, like none of us here would date,
An idiot.
and I don't invite as any guy to do this. Like, you never just date for looks. I know girls think that guys think that, but you know, we don't think like that. Yes, you have to look at her and think, fucking hell, like. You want everything about her. Do you know what I mean? You love the way she looks, the way she smells, the way she dresses.
Yeah.
Like she is just so physically attractive. Because the biggest thing for a guy initially is a wandering eye. Yeah, especially as you get older and things like that. Like you're looking at other girls that are chatting you up or talking to them, whatever. You think, cool, fucking hell, I need to not be swayed straight away. Yeah, and then that's your first initial attraction to somebody. Then after that, immediately is their mindset and their mannerisms and how how deep they are as an individual. So yeah, of course you relate straight back to, fuck me, do you know what, I've got a really good girl at home. But initially, like I said, you have to look at your partner and think you want to rip her clothes off all of the time. You know, when I see older women in the gym, and I train with Yo's older brother, she's a lot older than me, and I go, how old do you reckon she is? And like, she's got to be like in her mid-50s. And you're like, cool, you wouldn't mind your wife looking like that when you're mid-50s. That's the first thing you think of, because
facts.
that's the physical attraction to it. And it's that to us shows the way that she carries herself and the way that she thinks of herself. Like, she thinks of herself in nice regard, in the fact that she's always dressed nicely, smells nicely, hair's done, just the same as we will most of the time. We'll always make sure that we're not a fucking fat slob, and we do look after ourselves. So it's not just the fact she looks good, physically being attracted facially. It's the fact that you look at somebody and think that actually says a lot about her as her character and personality, because if she's like that of herself, she's going to hold you in the same regard, and she's also then going to raise her children to be exactly the same way.
I think that's a reach. I think you're reaching there. Someone
what?
can be hot and just be a bimbo.
Yeah, but I won't get
Yeah, but
them.
that's what I mean. I wouldn't get them.
No, but if you're going to control for that, if you're going to lead with like a variable, you wouldn't lead with, you'd go, okay, I need her to be respectful, responsible, and nice to my parents before anything else.
But you
and
can
then
look
I'll
at
compromise on the love.
but you can look at a girl,
You
right?
wouldn't do that.
No, because the girl I was talking to had everything. I just didn't.
You can look at a girl, and although a guy might say, sorry to be crude here, but you might look at it and go, yeah, I'd shag it. There's a massive difference between looking at a girl who's just got big fake tits, fake lips, big ass, and then you go, yeah, you'd spin it. Straight away, you can turn around and go, but I wouldn't date it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it home. Whereas you can look, I can look at a girl like that and know it straight away, and look at another girl who's actually beautiful, and just by the way she carries herself, her body language, everything, you go, that's the sort of girl you take home to your mum and dad.
Yep, facts.
That's what attains you, not just attracts you, basically.
Yeah, facts,
That's
yeah.
what I say. Like, I think
Girls, they
most
carry
women,
themselves differently.
They can attract a guy, but most of them can't attain a guy because they don't have the fundamentals of what you spoke about, which is everything else that you look for when they're more maternal, nurturing, all of these traits that you want your missus to have.
Yeah.
The way she speaks to your family, which you like you mentioned. But most of the time I speak to the boys, I'll meet girls and they're very good looking. We all meet good looking women, but there's nothing there. It's like the lights are on, but no one's at home. I'm like, there is nothing there. So I know that I'll probably get what I want, and not that I lead them down like a road to get what I want. It will go down to that if we carry on speaking. They know what it is, but that's all it's going to be.
I guess just to clear it up, and I think I'm understanding what you guys are saying. I think this is where we differ. I would rather put someone in a room, if someone was looking for a date, I think you guys would say, let's get as many hot women as we can in a room and then find which one has the greatest personality. I would say, let's get 100 women in a room and have amazing personalities, and then you just go find the hottest one. I think you should do the latter.
Oh, wow.
I agree with that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but where's
You
this?
agree with me, right?
I agree with you. But where's the room? I'm serious. Where's the room?
I'm bringing the room, don't worry. The room is Last Love is the room.
I think you're getting worried because we've now set an expectation where there is.
No, absolutely not.
I actually think what he just said there was
Last
very
Love.
Facts,
smart.
but where's
yeah.
the room? He's right, but where's the room?
Last Love is the room.
Last love.
Use that.
Sorry, man.
You could use that. You could use on that.
You could use that. Man.
Get done for copyright, mate.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, bring me the room.
I didn't think about it like that. So put 100 girls in the room who are emotionally
Smart,
intelligent.
and you just pick
and
the
pick the
hottest
hottest
one
one.
out of the smart.
That's going to cost me £1,000 though, isn't it?
I fucking hope not.
No, here you go. Right. So you said before the pod, I've got a question to ask all of yous that.
Oh no, we already did it. It was the masculine and feminine stuff.
Oh, right. That
Okay,
was it.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was intrigued to see what it was. Right. Okay. And we digressed on that a lot. Right. The next thing was. I don't know how to word this without getting myself in trouble. Actually, you know what? I'll hold off on that question. As regards to... Yeah, I'm not going to go
What
into it.
inspired you to even start this in the first place, man?
Great question.
Yeah, good question.
Great question. I am one of 4 brothers. I don't have any sisters.
Same.
So when I first started dating girls when I was like 17, 18...
You're the youngest?
Second to youngest.
Okay.
I didn't get them.
Yeah.
I thought, do you know what? I'll just be nice and kind and that'll fix everything. Doesn't mean anything. They're so beautifully sophisticated and complicated in a beautiful way. In a way that we are not, right? Because we're guys, right? We're sophisticated in other ways. And the thing I draw to, in the way I went and spoke to older people, read books, spoke to my pastor, trying to gather data and knowledge on like, what are these people? Like, how do they behave? What do they need? So, like, without knowing this, over the last 10 years, I've been reading into, like, relationship psychology, female biochemistry, just to make my own life better and my relationships with women better. Because then grow up with them. If you grow up with girls, that's a privilege, man.
I did 7.
Real. Oh, God.
That's
really?
that's why I feel like I understand them inside and out.
That's why you
But-
slay so hard.
But
bro.
for me,
Still can't find the missus though, can
hold up. That's because my expectations are at a certain point because I know what I
Good
would and would
women,
not expect.
yeah, yeah. He
What I
knows
would,
good women,
I
that's
do.
why, yeah.
I absolutely do. But
Yeah.
the worst outcome of that for me was I didn't have a lot of men around me, so I think I grew up a bit more emotional, a little bit more feminine than I should have been. Than I should have been.
Yeah.
And now I've had to learn those traits after a certain age. So I think there's like pros and cons to everything. So
Yeah.
if you have the privilege of having sisters and brothers, then you're in a very good position, I think, personally.
Absolutely. And then all that happened was I was in between projects, and we all live vicariously through single friends, right? I'm a long-term relationship type of guy. So I don't really do much of the single sort of one-night stand thing. And I was in between projects, and, you know, a friend of mine, he's much older. He had a marriage for like 20 years, and he broke up his relationship over politics. They broke up.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
And that just goes to show, like, we control for everything. We control for politics. I'm sure, like, you wouldn't want to be with someone who's perhaps, you know, a bit more liberal than you are, whatever, and a liberal person would want to be a conservative person. And these things matter.
Yeah.
You think they don't?
Oh, they definitely matter.
Yeah,
do
they do.
matter, and we control for this. We control for these things and these aren't. You would never think on a first date to go, "Oh, I need to understand this girl's politics." But
Yeah.
eventually, it will come out, and she may not be for politics, but she may be sympathetic to something that you do not agree with, and you won't be able to get beyond that.
It's so true. That is such a... Do you want to hear a funny story? So I went out the other night in London with Joe and Ryan, and we was queuing up for this club in just about 10 minutes away from Soho, near Oxford Street. And this girl was in the queue with us, and she was from, I think, somewhere near Amsterdam. It was just outside Amsterdam. I was talking to her and stuff. And she was talking about holidays, and then, she goes, I've just got back from so-and-so. And I was like, I've just got back from Romania. And then her friend went, well, why did you go to Romania? I was just there on business. I just dumbed it down because I understand the game. And Joe went, no, go and tell her why you actually went. I was like, no. He goes, sure. Oh, what did you go and see? Oh, did you go and see Andrew Tate? I went, what made you say that? She goes, why else would you go to Romania? I think she knew I did the podcast because someone brought it up previously in the queue. And I went, yeah. She goes, what do you think about it? I went, yeah, I kind of rate what he says, and I back most of it. Not there's some things I disagree with, some things I agree with. She didn't speak to me. Turned around.
No way.
Yeah, fucked off. Yeah, didn't speak to me. And I think people have the same view. If you say I support Trump, if you say support Trump, liberals who don't like Andrew Tate typically don't like Trump either.
Lose their nut.
They would just lose their nut and they'll talk to you.
Yeah.
And so
so important.
Politics is massive.
Yeah.
Because if you're with a lefty, well, I could be with a left wing.
So we send a cheeky Andrew Tate meme to him.
Yeah.
That's what I do. See if they agree with it or not.
Do you know, but nearly every girl I speak to does actually fuck with Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
But
100%.
they say I don't agree with everything he says, but I don't agree with anything anyone says.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't agree with anything half of you boys say. You come out with some shit. But so you take into consideration politics.
Yeah, like I can't tell you like the amount of things we control for. We really have built the most sophisticated matching mechanism. Like it's so well thought out. But previously, Mason, I was on the way here. I was thinking about because you guys talk a lot about like young men and lifting them up and tying into the point I made about I felt for a long time, even outside of young people, we shouldn't have to be extraordinary to have extraordinary lives. But I think I know what the crux of the reason why even our generation and the younger generation just aren't engaging in society, aren't being switched on, and all these ancillary things like wanting good for themselves, going to the gym and stuff. And I think the crux of it all, especially in, I think, London and the sort of cosmopolitan areas, it's we don't have our own homes anymore. We don't have our own castles to bring girls over, to cook food, to feel good about ourselves. That you need a space to call your own in order to operate from. And then when you have your own place, having a girl around and then starting to imagine a family and starting to imagine having a girlfriend living with you, that becomes easier. But now we're like chasing these expensive mortgages that we're never going to get, and people are still stuck in their parents' bedrooms. What else are you supposed to do in your bedroom? Play video games. What else are you supposed to do?
Sort of agree with that, to be fair.
True, I agree.
Ever since I moved out, it's been a lot easier.
Well, they say a lot of people, statistically, now a lot of people in their by the time they reach their 30s, they still don't have their own property.
32.
32 because of the way society and the market is.
It's getting harder as well.
And obviously because
Sorry,
the property price has gone through the roof since when our parents were young to now, but then the average salary still hasn't gone up anything considerably close to that, so they can't afford to even get a mortgage. But they say the higher power of the agenda is to be able to stop people from being able to do that because they want more people to rent rather than to buy their own property and be free. So a lot of people won't have that. So
And do you feel like it's a bit of a double negative though? Because like we're saying that there's nowhere really now for these people to go out and meet good people. Like, you know, the clubbing scene is shit. Yeah, it's just full of idiots. Guys and girls are, you know, when they go to raves, you're not exactly there going to be chatting someone up, right? You barely get your own sentences out.
Ain't it?
So, and that's him. That's when he's sober. But like, so then they're kind of sat indoors doing fuck all, and then so they go on these dating apps, but they're still not learning how to have meaningful conversations, meaningful relationships. It's kind of like, well, I've got nowhere to go and meet decent people. You know, obviously there are good, decent places to go, but they're a rarity, and people either that or so they got social anxiety now. They can't be bothered to go out, and you know, people have become a little bit like hermits, and then they're stuck behind a screen trying to meet people and trying to build something based on statistics on an app. I don't know. I just think it's like it's all just they can't go and do that, so they're forced to do this thing, and then because they're doing this thing, they now don't want to go and do that thing. Do you get what I mean?
No, absolutely. And you make a fair point before about your guys' general point is listen, be better men, right? Be better versions of yourselves. And I agree with that. You're right. Ultimately, we could wish that everyone's confident enough to like, and even girls allow us to approach them, right? And are more forgiving when we do it, and that will create a great ecosystem to not have to have dating apps. But it's just the reality of the situation.
That's an
right,
ideal world, right?
Yeah.
Just don't know if I'm a fan.
Everything is data, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, whether before computers were even about everything, if you think about it, is statistics and data. The probability of that human surviving that period of time against other species of humans like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens created tools to fight off the Neanderthals. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Everything is statistics. They're statistically more.
Yes, people. Hope you're enjoying the pod. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button for us, it does us a world of favours. Back to the pod.
Intelligent
Enough to survive this period of this time on Earth. Do you know what I'm saying? I know they didn't have the statistics then, but everything is statistics. Everything is data. We just now live in an environment and a time where you can actually record and analyze data and you then use it to your advantage. So I think this was inevitable eventually anyway. It was going to happen, but it is a sad reality that we live in. We've got to rely on technology to try and find a partner.
Another aspect I think about a lot is like how unfair it is for guys, like on dating apps, in the sense, and I'm for everyone and I'm for anyone, right? But when I think about the plight of guys, how we have to be like funny and charismatic and this all over like a small message, just like fuck me, like it's so
There's a lot.
hard,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot.
Expectations.
And you've got to do that at volume and at scale, and you've got to take risks, and it's like it shouldn't have to be this bloody way. So this is why the way we've created the scenario is when you take that huge amount of choice from girls and boys, right? But mostly from the girls, because most of the girls are getting all the choice. We're hoping people become more discerning and appreciative of the match they're given, right? And really treat it with a bit of reverence. Not you've got bloody 10 guys in your messaging who can tell you the fucking funniest joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not fair.
Yeah, very true.
I do say that as
It's a
well.
minefield.
Yeah, the whole dating scene's a minefield.
Yeah, proper.
And I think relationships are just in tatters at the moment because of the world we live in.
And like I say, I don't think it helps the way that. Don't get me wrong, I know guys are creeps, yeah, and I know guys are weirdos, and if a bird's in the gym and that and she's training, fucking leave her alone. Do you know what I mean? Let her do her thing. But at the same time, of what you just said, just touching on what you said there, it is difficult now because I think guys are a little bit more apprehensive about going up and approaching a girl in case of the way they react. Or in case of like, why the fuck are you talking to me? Like, whoa, I'm only coming over to sort of nicely approach and just say, I saw you from across the room, thought you was beautiful. Like, whatever it is that they want to fucking say to them, don't be a weirdo about it. But I think guys have increasingly built up that, not anxiety, but that pressure in a negative way to go, oh, do you know what? I'm actually not even going to go up and say hello to her because
It's not worth the risk.
yeah.
But more than that, though, I mean, I get what you're saying. More than how they're going to respond, I think it's more just a fear that they're just going to say, no, I don't want you.
Yeah.
I don't think most women that you approach are going to say, don't fucking talk to me. They will just say, I'm not interested, or I've got a boyfriend, and just move on. They'll try to cut it short. They don't like... It's probably happened to me before where they're probably not responded. Okay, cool, like move on. But they don't really respond and be all aggressive about it unless you approach it. In
Yeah,
like
it depends
rude
how you
manner.
approach it.
So
Yeah.
I think it's just more men are scared of being said no to. And that hurting their ego, but them not realising that is character building. The more you do that,
Yep.
the better you're going to get at it. And the next time...
Numbers game again.
Exactly, yeah. That's what it comes down to.
There's two sides to this sort of initial sort of cold approach, they call it, right? There's two sides to the cold approach. The side for the girls is, I don't know whether you've heard Matthew Hussey, this dating expert, right? He talks about how back in the day, a cold approach would be started by the woman. She would drop her handkerchief,
yes,
and then the guy would pick up the handkerchief. But she's already chosen you. You'd pick up the handkerchief and you'd say, hey, you drop your handkerchief, right? And then you'd start a conversation. So really the woman always picked first. So women should take note of that. But to balance that for the modern day, let's say there's a girl, she has a great father, a great brother, and a great boyfriend. So that's 3 guys. Let's say she's living in London in the city, works a 9 to 5. She's in the rat race or whatever. So she knows those 3 great guys, but then she gets 10 weird cold approaches throughout the entire month. She gets a honk, she gets a wolf whistle, whatever. That's 10 dickheads versus 3 good guys. Like, really, yeah, we can be discerning and logical, but also if you're coming from an emotional perspective, you're thinking, numbers-wise, men are dicks,
Yeah.
wow.
I would agree.
right?
100%.
No matter how great those guys are,
Yeah.
numbers-wise, the numbers say that guys are dicks.
The majority, yeah.
I agree, yeah.
Not completely.
That's why we
agree.
created
So
the pod, to try and stop men being dicks.
And we've got to be sensitive to that. So I would say, like, if you're a guy, if you're a guy cold approaching a girl, almost like elephant in the room, just say, hey, I know, guys normally chat nonsense to you or whatever. I just want to come and say hi. Like, liked how you look, want to get to know you.
More than enough, you're saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's never that deep as well. You've got to think, if you're approaching an attractive girl, there's going to be a lot of people approaching her as well. And if she says no to you, she's going to forget that in like 5-10 seconds.
Absolutely.
You don't have to like go to bed and like think about, oh my god, she said no, because she's already forgotten about it, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Would you not agree though? Like women now almost kind of have this expectation to be swept off their feet from a man as well. So it's not just us approaching anyone and saying it should be like, hi, just want to have a little conversation. Thought you're lovely. Like, where you from? That's it, right? Should be enough technically in my eyes, but then some of them are expecting literally to be swept off their feet. So their expectations are nowhere near to what most guys can offer anyway.
Yeah, I agree entirely. Like I said before, you've got to be so many things in one message or one approach. Like, just give people a chance over a long enough time horizon, right? Give them a date, right? Give them a coffee's worth of time to be able to demonstrate that to you. I agree with you. I think that some girls have too high of expectations. Absolutely, yeah.
I feel like they, and again, I'm not trying to come for women, but they just feel like they can bring themselves and we should accept that. But then we need to bring the status and the money and the charismatic personality, charming, all of that.
These are the female tyrants.
Fair, yeah.
These are the female tyrants.
Yeah.
Those exist and they are the bad players. There are plenty of good girls players, but, you know, you guys are not attracted to them. So.
Would we say that would you guys agree that we create these women as well though? Because there's so many guys selling the dream going, I'm going to take you here, take you there, do this, do that. And then when we're saying, well, I just want to get to know you over a drink, well, they're going, well, I've got Tom, Dick and Harry in my DMs that want to take me to Sexy Fish.
I hate it when a girl, I can't, I know, I think I've said it before, but I fucking hate it when a girl's like, when you're taking me out then, or you can take me, it's like, whoa. If the guy wants to take you out, he will ask, just give it time.
And it'll still be no.
So speaking on that, how important is environment though? Like, say for example, we went to Ibiza, how easy is it just to speak to someone, have a conversation with a girl, and compared to like maybe being in England?
Because you're on holiday, mate. Everyone's excited and horny on holiday. When you're in England, everyone's just miserable. No one wants to be spoken to. It's just a complete different environment.
Yeah, but he's saying how easy is it? It's
No,
mad.
how easy, exactly.
Yeah. But they're the same people that you might have bumped into in England.
No, true.
Do you know what I mean? Environment's really important as well.
Environment's very
Very
important, yeah.
Starting in the water in Ibiza.
Yeah, must have, mate.
Literally.
It was a busy week.
Yeah, literally. Sank in the lollipops. They're sank in fucking everything in Ibiza.
Where do you reckon your Apple will be in the next 5 years then?
5 years, I think we'll be getting offers for acquisition. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What was your mission to solve, Chan? Was your mission for Last Love to help people find love again?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way the thought sort of came to my heart was I just mean this from a guy's perspective. I'm for the boys. I love the boys, but I'm a guy, so I'm like thinking about it from I don't have a sister, right? But if I had a sister and she was like 21 or 24 right now, you know, hopefully she wasn't like decadent and debaucherous, and hopefully she was a great, respectful girl.
Yeah.
Where would she go?
Yeah.
Where could she go?
Yeah.
Where could she go that I can feel safe and comfortable?
you're
that
right.
the people who own this company want good for her. The thing itself wants good for her. The people she's going to meet are good for her. And I was like, there's no way we can go. Like, society's girls. And like, I love the boys as well. I care for the boys. I think I've said it enough. Like, I'm for the boys as well. But the thing that made me go, oh, do you know what? I need to do something about this is, where would the girls go?
Yeah.
You're indirectly doing a real favour for the boys there anyway, though, because if you're creating that platform for good girls, the guys that go on that platform should hopefully be good guys with the same intentions.
Absolutely.
So you are very indirectly, if you want to call it that, doing a real solid for the boys there anyway.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, whilst that was intention, statistically, men are at every disadvantage when it comes to dating apps, and we've rebalanced it. So absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I rate it, man.
I kind of want to sign up, just not yet.
Absolutely. Well,
That's a good question though in regards to like age-wise. I feel like there's going to be more people towards their late 20s.
What age would you recommend?
No one that's like, how old do you have to be to have a dating app? 18. So
Yeah.
18 to 25, are they realistically going to be looking for love?
hey, like I said, like, listen, if we want to change the tide of like marriage and relationships, of course I want to catch people who are younger than 25. With our introduction, hopefully they can have really long relationships. So yeah, can we change that? Yeah, absolutely we can. Just like Tinder said, okay, have sex at the start of your adult life. Maybe we're going to force a change for people to say, hey, I can actually have a meaningful relationship because I can find someone easily, right? So you're right in that respect. I think post 25, definitely post 27, but we're for everyone. But in my mind and statistically, we are seeing that people over the age of 27 are ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
I saw a statistic that said only up to 43% of people are looking for love on that app. So there's at least another 55, 60% that are not. Is that statistic What? is that statistic accurate?
Yeah, I
or-
think that might be people who aren't of age or perhaps over the age, and obviously people are already married or people not looking for a relationship. But yeah,
We all deleted our.
What? Sorry?
We all deleted our dating apps, didn't we?
We've not had it since January.
No, since the
I'm,
first pod.
I'm banned off all of them.
yeah.
I'm banned off all apps, so I can come on to yours if that's all
I've
right.
not missed them one bit. When I look back now, I think, fuck me, what a waste of time we used to
It
spend
is a
on
waste
that.
of time.
Do you know what I also
Fucking
think?
hell.
Though? And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. He said he deleted it as well, and I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, if I delete it, then I'm not dependent on it. I'm more likely to meet people out and about. I'm more likely to go forward for it when I see a woman rather than depending on these apps."
Yeah.
Obviously, I get the concept of your app is completely different to how
Yeah.
Hinge and Bumble and all of them are, but again, when it comes to Hinge and Tinder, it's such an easy way to speak to women.
Yeah.
But he was saying that's why he deleted it. So there's pros and cons to dating apps, I feel, depending on what they're trying to achieve.
Well, yeah, like you said before, right, ours is autonomous. So even with the lifestyle you guys have chosen, we're like, you want to take a back seat, you don't want it to be in the forefront. We're doing it all for you, right? And you may not get a match instantly. It may take you weeks to get a match. We're not just going to serve you crap. We're going to serve you something if you think you're going to have a good relationship with this person.
Have you got like, teams of people like doing this, or is it like a computer? I'm really
Yeah, no,
confused.
there's an algorithm that does the matching. Yeah. It's programmed itself.
I just can't see it being that good.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because I just can't know. How's it going to know I find a bird fit or not? I don't get it.
Well, that aspect, there is a human element to that aspect.
Right, okay. So
But you see the picture of the person. Yeah.
then what? I've wasted my £10 credit.
No. You see them for free. You don't have to pay to see
Ah,
them.
okay.
You get a picture of them, and you get a voice recording of them describing themselves.
Before I can choose to accept.
Correct.
Oh, I
And
like the
then,
idea of
if you're
that.
happy with that, then you pay the monies, and then you can interact.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I was going to say, because I just don't trust, like, this computer can't tell.
Do you only pay once you both match?
Absolutely, yeah. So
Okay,
one
cool.
thing
That's
I didn't say at the
sick.
start is it's called a success-based payment model. Dating apps is the only scenario in your bloody life. You guys don't because you're all good-looking chaps. But that someone would pay for something and not expect anything in return. There are people paying for dating apps with nothing, getting nothing.
Mad.
It's true.
Like they're paying with the hope and the wish. Can you imagine a company selling? Oh, you may get laid. You may not.
Buy the car, you might get it.
Like it's brutal. But it's brutal though, and people are paying that. It's really unfair. So what we've gone is, listen, we're not trying to create money out of failure. When we've bought success, we will take a bit of your money.
I like the concept,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
like it as well.
You've got to be very intrigued.
Yeah.
And we believe in the algorithm so much that we're saying, listen, we'll stake our word. When we've delivered you a match of someone who actually wants to get to know you, who you actually can have a good relationship with, only then will you pay.
Yeah, but how can you ensure there's enough users to fill up the pool?
Yeah, sure. Then every dating app has a critical mass issue, and we're post-launch. We've already got some. I can't give too many numbers away, but we have people sort of prepared for launch to get us into a position where we will have a decent amount of usage.
Okay.
But yeah,
And you don't have to go into financials, but I know that obviously you're going up against like big dick players
Yeah.
with loads of money, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
how are you going to compete against these guys? I don't get it.
we're in talks with private investors raising investment.
That's cool.
Right,
nice,
that's
man.
nice, man. That's cool.
Judging from what type of man Yo is, what type of woman would you pick him? What type of characteristics?
Listen, Joseph, seriously, like I don't know how deep should I get into this.
Please do.
Yeah, do it. Go.
We LastLove, we can find the female version of him.
You reckon?
Yeah.
We don't want that.
We
needs
definitely
the
don't
opposite.
want that.
No, but he's thinking in his mind, right? He's thinking he's this like, 1970s stay-at-home mother baking with a penny. You don't want that. You will leave that girl. That girl will be good for you. You'd be awful for her.
What does he want?
That's what she was, that last girl, to be fair. She was just...
Yeah, what would you do with her?
Do you know what I was
Grass,
thinking
mate.
though when you said that, Yo?
What?
I was thinking that, look, you're a good-looking geezer. We all are. We've had our fair share of women, right? And we've met some. I'm gonna say it. We can bleep that out if we have to. We have.
Yeah.
Cut that word out, please.
I'm sure some serious
we-
male.
There is, but because we've experienced these types of women, we're so used to it. Are you desensitized when you meet a good woman that is bringing like that little softer approach, that feminine approach, and you're going, this is just boring. Like all you want to do is just boring stuff. And I know you spoke to good girls before,
Yeah.
but do you not think that you're so used to these types of women that you're desensitized?
No, what it is... Let me analyse what you just said there. Is it... Am I these...
Like, how excited were you when you come and say, "This boy, look at this girl. Like, she's an absolute whatever."
Yeah, weapon, yeah,
Compared to a nice girl, you're like, I don't want that. Don't need that.
Yeah, but then how long does that last?
Yeah, I know, but I know again, it's a short term thing, but
Extremely
it-
short term.
It's when he meets these good women.
I think
just
that's
feel
half
like
the battle.
No,
mate.
do you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I think it probably comes from a place of, and I'll say it, maybe a place of insecurity. if I think about it in a deep way, I'll tell you what, I'm not insecure myself, but I know for a fact I'm not where I want to be.
Yeah.
Now, I said this in the previous pod. So I feel like I made a mistake last time when I got into a relationship that I didn't make a mistake. I just was naive to the fact that this was how important this was. That I wasn't in a position in my life where I felt like I was happy to give myself to someone else because I hadn't gave myself my 100% self yet.
Yeah, I hear
Do you know what I'm
what
saying?
you're saying.
So like right now in this moment in time, I feel like I'm in a very big building period as we
From
all
a
are.
financial perspective, though, because apart from that, you've got everything, right? You got personality. You got
No, I haven't.
charisma, you got
I
all
haven't
this,
because
right?
I don't feel like I've pursued my purpose yet, and I
Right.
feel like I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Whereas 3 years ago I couldn't. I had an idea, but I didn't know how I was going to fucking get there. Now we've started on this journey, and it's leading to fucking so many different other
Yeah.
things. I can now see a light, and I don't know how close it is, and I don't really care how close it is because I'm enjoying the journey so
Yeah, I
much.
hear you.
And I feel like once I've obtained that light and I've got there and go, right, I'm actually blessed now. Like, I might be okay and might be happy to open up to another person. But until then, I feel like I'm so close now. And I feel like, wow, it's actually in touching distance. I don't want to bring another distraction into my life that can fuck that up.
Question then, just on that. Let's just say you achieved all of that, right? And you found that person.
Yeah.
Strip everything that you have, your money, whatever you've achieved. Would you not still want that person to be there, or is she there just because you've got to that point?
What? Can you repeat the question?
So essentially, you're saying once I reach to this goal,
Yeah.
once I reach to this pinnacle moment that
Yeah.
you're waiting, that you believe that you're coming to, and you will.
Yeah.
But dismantle all of that, take all of that away. Would you not want that person that you've chosen as your lifetime partner to still be there, regardless whether you have something or not? Because there's a lot of men that have money that lose, and then partners end up leaving them. That means the core of that person was just not loyal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think I would be able to identify. Like, right, so I would never get of a goal because do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to fuck off to some random country that no one knows who we are, and I find love there. That's the idea, right? Well, that'd be cool. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do, but say for instance, just say we become a nationwide brand, right? Just say for instance we become the Beta Squad. I guarantee if you go to certain places in Italy or certain places in Asia or anywhere, they won't even know what the fuck these guys are, as they won't know who we are. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'll go and find love in these areas, but I'd like someone who's so oblivious to this world that it was like, well, I don't care about who you are. I just want to be with you for you. So I think I'd probably identify that first. Someone come up to me and just for instance, we get to a stage where people recognise us everywhere we go, which is would be
I hear
nice.
you.
It's not that I'm doing it for the fame. I'm doing it for the success and to help other people at the same time. But say I get to a point and she goes, I don't even know who you are. That's who I probably would lean towards more for a relationship.
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I was sorry to go on about this, but I was literally going to say, the more successful you get, I reckon the more kind of wary you're going to get about the person you
Gets
meet.
more
1,000%.
Is she with
Gets
me
more
because of
difficult.
this?
Exactly. I want the girl that's going to go, I don't know who the fuck you are, I don't care.
Does that matter if she does know who you are, though?
Yeah, it does. I think when you get hit a certain level of success, I think it does really matter, unless they're successful in their own right themselves. Say their dad's a fucking millionaire or billionaire.
But she could be a homebody. Go, yeah, I know who you are. I've seen you on YouTube.
Are
Don't
you
really
with me?
care, but
Where am I meeting this homebody? She's not going to be in the club, is she?
South America, where you
coffee
like
shop.
the most.
Bump into her at a coffee
Colombia.
shop.
A puppy.
No, right. Mate, there's something...
Sorry to make this like.
Yeah, sorry,
It's
man.
fine, no, it's
We're
fine.
all
No,
just
no.
intrigued because
No, no,
he's got
sure.
very strong opinions about it. and I
Yeah,
just
it's
thought-
just I don't know, man. Like I think I personally think from my point of view, like I'm very very good at identifying people's personality traits. I read body language, I read people's energy straight away, and I'll know if someone's fucking with me for the wrong reasons.
Just give it a test of time.
Yeah.
It'll
But
come
don't you
down.
want someone to go on that journey with you?
No.
You can find someone that's in the same way. Why not?
No, because this journey involves me being a degenerate with my friends and enjoying.
Oh, that bit. I thought you meant the business stuff and you having to be away all the
That's
time.
part of the business. Me and these boys are going to be travelling up and down the country, all around the world, being us boys, and I don't want to even put a female through that fucking shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
If we can bring it back to something that Mason and I were
Am I
talking
wrong?
about.
Would you boys going to travel the world with me and do all this crazy stuff we've got planned?
Bringing her with me.
I don't think. I don't know.
Go on, dive into it. Why not?
I don't think it's impossible.
It's not impossible
to have a girl
It's not
to have a girl to
impossible.
come on that journey with you. Like I just think you're worried about. I just don't think you're ready to settle for one budget.
Yeah.
like that. That's it.
And it's not because I want. You know what it is? It's not even because I want loads of other females. that might be like a cherry on top, but that's not the reason why. So if I'm going to bring someone into my life, I want to give everything to her. I don't want to fuck up my child. I don't want to be in a club with you lot drunk one night and then I'm not what I would be doing, saying like round girls or what. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to be in these situations. I want that life to be behind me when I choose this girl. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be in these circles. I don't want to be in these clubs. I don't want to be at these fucking all these events and shit. I want to be then. That's behind me. I've done my bit. It's just a podcast. It's just business now. And now I've got the girl. I don't want to be in these fucking environments.
If you look at the arc of relationships, and this is a big issue, maybe a slight spanner in your works, right? Like the longer you wait to get married, I know you guys spoke to Paul about this as well. Like married men make more money, they live longer, they avoid certain diseases. But if you look at the sort of the arc of a relationship, like if you get into a relationship too late and then you rush children, and then you don't have a pedigree, you don't have a foundation where you've like learned each other out and developed a communication and argument style, and then you could end up divorcing or high amounts of conflict. It's good to have a nice pedigree with a girl and for the boy as well, to like have 3 or 4 years where you just like learning each other, going through that chaos together without any outside influences like kids or parents or marriage or whatever, because those things ultimately will lead to pressure. And if you don't have pedigree, if you don't have a 3-4 year foundation, you're really going to lose in those situations.
I agree with you, but I don't think it applies to men.
Sharon, I think
men.
Yeah, because we don't have a top. We don't have a
sell by dates a lot.
Yeah, we ain't got a sell by date.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you guys. If you get married, if you find someone at 30, you're both 30. Or are you going to go younger? Probably. Is that
of course, yeah. I'm not going to choose a girl my same age.
All right, okay, but still, like, when do you want to have kids by?
I ideally would like to have kids by not saying at, but before 35. I'm 28 now, so before 35, I'd like to have kids.
And how old when would you get into a relationship with this person?
Within the next 3 years.
How old are you now?
28.
28. So what? You get into a relationship at 31, then you have kids by 35.
Yeah, and she'll be like,
work.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a bit older than these boys. I'm 32.
Okay.
So
42.
cheers, mate. You look older than me, mate. Such a mug. Thank you, Mason.
Love you.
I mean, we can have a little stat there to see who looks older than me or Mason.
Yeah, drop it in the comments.
We know which
in the comments, who's older, Mason or Ozzy? Who looks older?
Or Merc. But,
He's bringing us all.
I've had this conversation with myself as well because, again, I believe what you're saying. You need to know someone, have that pedigree with them or that foundation before you have a child. But for me, I think it's going to have to be up until 38 to 40. So if I meet someone in the next few years, hopefully, maybe in like another 2-3 years, then up until 40, I've got some time. And again, Yo made a point saying that we're not like our fathers, we look after ourselves. And we train, they just worked. That's all they kind of strive towards, was just putting bread on the table, being successful. But we look after ourselves in a very different way. So I would like to think by 40...
You'll still be
I would like to think I still am young
100%.
within physically.
My dad had me in his 40s, bruv, and he's like 70 odd now. And yeah, he's starting to get old now, but you never believe he's 70. He's just quite
I don't think we've taken into account here either, Sharon. Like, there's people out there far busier than we are. We've got an extremely busy life, right? And I'm pretty sure we've touched on this before, but like females require a lot of attention.
Absolutely.
They require a lot of time. They want you around, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that's what most females want. They want their man around, right? Fair play. And I don't think also as like bringing lifestyle into account, I don't know. First of all, I'll come on to that actually. Like where we're so busy, work, gym, podcast, going to meets, going to events, different things like that. Like it's constantly on the go. I don't think we offer someone that sort of, not, I suppose, stability, for want of a better word, of a foundation of a relationship to invest the time necessary to get to know that individual. How do you account for that? Because that's near impossible for us to control.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Ultimately, I would say that, I think you're not going to believe me, that's fine, but I think you'll have better outcomes. If you're all in relationships, I think you'd have better outcomes. Could you imagine all doubling and doing shit? I think that'd be amazing. Like going on these group trips. If you all, obviously, if one of you, it wouldn't work, right? Probably. But if you all got into relationships at the same time, the powerhouse that would cause. Like all the extra resource, all the other connections, communication you guys could be having, I think it'd be amazing.
Like what? Like really delve into that. Like what? Like what is that going to do for us that we can't already provide for ourselves? Let him answer that.
I think you'd be able to build more for the future. Like right now, you guys are building for each other for the next 10 years. But if you all had wives, you'd be building for the next 50 years.
No, I disagree.
I saw, yeah.
I think
But you'd be building it together as well.
I see what
I
you're
think
saying.
you move the
ultimately,
goalpost
you-
slightly, but yeah, I get it.
What you're saying, Mason, is absolutely correct. But like, I feel like you have to take one step back to take like 10 steps forward. This is just my ethos. It's not necessarily any even grounds to it. But I do believe that if you guys were in relationships, it would be good for you and good for the business.
I don't even disagree with you.
I don't
was
disagree.
I was just interested to hear
I
your point of
absolutely
view.
agree. You will have to sacrifice, and they do provide balance. Like it's same with me in my relationship. I don't even want to sleep at night sometimes. I'm happy not to sleep, but like I'm seeing her, and I'm like, if I don't sleep, like it's not appropriate. It's not right. Like
You don't want to say what because you just want to work.
Yeah. I could do 24/7 a day sometimes if I wanted. Like when I'm really in the zone or there's some fire, I've got a fire or something. I'll be on my PC all throughout the night. That's fine. But it's not right.
Yeah.
Because I've got a responsibility to someone here. But then equally, like if I did that, I'd die. I wouldn't feel good about myself and all the rest of it. Like we do take care of ourselves as well. But what the feminine does is bring balance, right? And I bring balance to her. She brings balance to me. If she's getting too emotional, I'm like, oh, it's too much, right? I'm working too much. She's like, oh, it's too much. It helps to regulate. I'm not saying you can't do that for yourself. Maybe you can do it for yourself. That's just my ethos. But what I'm doing, like versus what you guys are doing, I'm with my girlfriend now through this chaos of starting this business. But I'm building a pedigree with her. I'm building pedigree. We're going to remember this shit forever, right? And she's not necessarily helping me, but I'm seeing her go through the struggle. I'm seeing her counsel me at times or encourage me at times. And this is giving her opportunity for me to find ways to love her.
And I don't doubt that we would benefit greatly from having that femininity around us. Do you know what I mean? When us boys get stressed out and we get aggy, all right, we talk to each other, but sometimes you do want that female side of things in order to not suppose confide in, but how is then she going to react when we say, right, all of a sudden now, boom, we're going to Newcastle this weekend, or me and the boys are going here this night, oh, I can't see them, now me and the boys are going there that night. Like, what female's going to part with that?
We can find those females for you.
That's mad.
We absolutely can.
I'm very intrigued.
Another thing is that what you've got to bring it down to in the rawest form is, like, why have men always built buildings for women? There is no better motivation than your family or your wife.
Yeah, I can agree
There
with
is
you.
no better motivation.
What are you laughing at, you prick?
What are you laughing at?
No, this idiot just made a face and just reminded me of science fucking moron.
Fuck's sake. We're going to have to wrap up there. Only reason why, otherwise it's going to become a very long pod and people...
that's my brother.
I could have carried on talking to you, man. That was...
Yeah, I could see you talking for 2 hours, but from the data and the statistics, I know people switch off if it's too long. So
Sure.
we'll close up there. But is there anything you want to plug? Obviously, I know your business. Anything you want to announce or anything before we
No,
wrap
that's
up?
it. By the time this has gone out, we will have launched. It's lastlove.co.uk. Sorry, lastloveapp.com. And the TikTok handle is lastloveapp. We're ready to make marriage great again and make relationships great again. We'd love to have you as a user. No matter who you are, we can find you a great match.
You should get a red hat saying...
Make marriage great again.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. Naga. I'd wear it.
I've thought about it.
Sharon, I think you're a great guy, man. I think I genuinely think the cause as to what we always say with anything in life, start with your why. With anything that you decide to pursue, whether it's training, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a business, whatever it is, start with your why. And I think your why in your business here is extremely powerful, mate. So I wish you every success, and I can see the business doing really well, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, well done, bro.
Yeah,
Pleasure having you on.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Listen, guys, if you've made it this far, we appreciate you. We'd appreciate you even more if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button.
Leave a comment in the comment section.
And we'll see you in the next.
Peace.